Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in ULPC, Ultra League Premier Classic, and these battles are not mine. Sent in by a friend of mine. I've just been running the same team. I didn't want to make a third video about it, so thank you very much to Deadlyy for sending me these games. So these are the sets that came shortly after Deadlyy hit Legend. He's been running this team. I believe this is the team that he hit Legend with. And yeah, went on a really consistent run with it here too. So I guess he's been having very consistent performance with this. And I haven't really seen, personally, I haven't encountered any Gyarados in the lead. So as far as I know, this team is pretty unique. So he is opening with a Waterfall Gyarados. In the back, he has a Trevenant and a regular non-Shadow Machamp. Actually has no real answer to a Dragonite lead, so not too sure how he's going to recover out of this one. Actually, I do know how he recovers out of this one, because I have actually watched these videos already. Wanted to familiarize myself with his playstyle and his team so that I could say useful things about it instead of just being surprised. So let's not pretend to be surprised, Ferrikster. I've seen these battles before. So he's going to throw these Seed Bombs into this Walrein. Walrein is a pretty decent counter to Trevenant, but since this Trevenant got a decent energy lead already, Shadow Clawing down Dragonite is able to dump all this energy into the Walrein. And anytime you can sneak in an extra Shadow Claw, it will actually help you to outpace. Like Trevenant, to get to Seed Bomb, it's just an even 5 Shadow Claws. For Walrein, it's like 5, 4, 5. Powder Snows into the Weather Ball, or not the Weather Ball, the Icicle Spear. So as long as Trevenant can sneak in one Shadow Claw somewhere, since it wins CMP, as long as you can sneak one Shadow Claw, or 2 if your opponent sneaks one, you can get to outpacing the Walrein in the first place. So while the simulations might show it as a dominating matchup for Walrein, in practice it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Especially if Trevenant can get an energy lead. So we're gonna see a decent chunk of aggressive switching into that, especially if he already knows that there is a Walrein in the back. But yeah, into the second game up against Jamer. So Gyarados into Machamp. Shadow Machamp is actually kind of threatening to Gyarados. Actually, if they were to stay in, Machamp could, land bait a cross chop and still be able to land the rock slide, and it would actually take me out, or it would take Deadlyy out. Not used to casting someone else's games. But yeah, the opponent switched out into Snorlax, and Deadlyy obviously going to respond with his Machamp, able to take that Snorlax out. The Snorlax threw a superpower, which is exactly what I would do. Does a little bit more damage than the Body Slam does. And yeah, going to respond by bringing his own Machamp back out. Going to throw this cross chop, do that damage, and going to bring out Gyarados. So at this health range, the Machamp doesn't really have any reason to throw a cross chop unless they're planning to switch out, which they're going to do there. So they'll be able to build up energy and come back in and get to a rock slide, because the waterfall damage is just too great at this point. The Machamp wouldn't have been able to reach a rock slide if they stayed in, so very good on the opponent to switch out into Trevenant. Deadly's going to stay in here. A Seed Bomb wouldn't KO from here. Shadow Ball will, so decides to call that bait and gets Shadow Balled. And that's going to happen sometimes. The opposing Trevenant is almost in Seed Bomb range, so if this is a Seed Bomb, then gets Shadow Balled there too. But that's okay. Deadlyy will just save that shield for the next battle. All right, next up against Victorium. Gyarados into Nidoqueen. This is a pretty good matchup since Deadlyy is running Waterfall. With Dragon Breath, it actually wouldn't be so great. Gonna end up shielding this Poison Fang. Get debuffed, and just gonna spam out this Aqua Tail. They no shield, and then they switch out into Walrein. They wouldn't really have that much health left on Nidoqueen. I don't know why they didn't just stay in and let themselves get farmed. I think it only would have been one Waterfall. But good for us. Deadlyy able to get the Machamp out into this Walrein. Gonna no shield the second Icicle Spear. Just building up lots of energy at this point. Walrein's able to sneak in an extra Powder Snow, but I don't think that's going to help them reach another move. They decide not to shield, which makes a lot of sense. They would have to double shield in order to maintain swap there. So they're just going to spam out this Cross Chop, take out the Nidoqueen, and there is a Shadow Swampert left over in the back. So that's fine. Swampert doesn't really have a ton of play against Trevenant and doesn't actually have a ton of play against Gyarados either. So yeah, that's a GG. Yeah, this team is very strong against Swampert. Even Machamp is like okay there. And I have been seeing a lot of Swamperts lately. I don't know why. All right, Gyarados into Trevenant. This is obviously not ideal. The waterfall damage really just isn't doing that much. They're going to throw their first charge attack here, and Deadlyy is going to shield this Shadow Ball. So going to go straight for the crunch here. Not going to bait the Aqua Tail. If he baits Aqua Tail, the Trevenant will actually still usually be able to reach their second move beforehand. Like, you know, even if he baited Aqua Tail, this is where he would reach the crunch. And yeah, Trevenant can just go straight Shadow Ball and win that. So bring Trevenant in, and they switch out into a Snorlax, which is fantastic for us. Going to be able to get this Machamp out into the Snorlax. I'm guessing you no-shield this. Let the Body Slam land. Doesn't really do that much damage. This is a Shadow Lax, same thing that I use on my team. Just going to counter that the whole way down and have some energy. Trevenant is definitely going to come back out, and Machamp needs to have energy to be able to threaten it. Never mind, Ampharos comes out instead. Makes some sense. Ampharos doesn't really have a ton of play against Trevenant. Got to get that cross chop out, and able to get this one out too. So that definitely helps. Helps to wait out the Switch Cluck also. Switches out into Trevenant. The opposing Trevenant comes in also. Just going to spam out this Seed Bomb. This should be enough to take them out at this point. But I'm not going to find out yet because they decide to shield. Just going to Shadow Claw the whole way down. I'm guessing you kind of have to shield this even if it's a Seed Bomb. I don't think they can get to another Shadow Ball. No, they can't get to anything. They get Shadow Claw down. Ampharos is going to come out, but Deadlyy already has a move loaded. So yeah, that is a GG. That Ampharos probably doesn't have Dragon Pulse, because it's unusual to carry that. All right, next up against PM Ning. Gyarados into Sylveon. So the last time I was running Gyarados was in Season 2, so I don't know how this matchup goes. Like, I know Gyarados into Togekiss is like pretty neutral, and this looks like it's about the same. I'm guessing Deadlyy would shield this, and nope, I guess not. I don't know, I would have shielded it and spammed out another Aqua Tail, but that's just me. Some switching has occurred, and we have a Machamp trained on a on a Walrein, so very good alignment here, especially considering didn't win lead. Just going to spam out this cross chop. Surprisingly, they shield. I guess I didn't catch what happened before this swap, but I would think they would have let it go, you know, and just charmed down the Machamp. Deadly's going to throw the next cross chop here right before Walrein's able to get to another Icicle Spear. Doesn't want to have to shield and wants to take out this Walrein. Oh, Swampert's going to come back out. That's why. And yeah, Deadly's just going to go straight cross chop. Not going to be able to reach anything else, and Cross Chop does more because the Rock Slide is resisted anyway. Sylveon's going to come out, but this Sylveon doesn't have much energy because they had just thrown something, so yeah, Deadlyy gets a huge farm, has back-to-back Seed Bomb and then some loaded, ready to go, and this one-shots, so yeah, the opponent just lets it go, and that is a GG. Nice, nice. So, finishes up that set, gets a 4 out of 5, manages to get a Noctowl, which is probably not great. I don't know if Deadlyy still needs a Hundo Noctowl or ever has any plans to use one in Ultra League. I don't know. I don't know his situation, but he probably didn't need that Noctowl. Probably didn't need that. All right. Next up, Gyarados into Escavalier. This is a fantastic matchup for Gyarados. Escavalier doesn't really have any good way of harming Gyarados back. Like, they could throw a Mega Horn, which would be single resisted, but it just doesn't... Even that wouldn't do that much, and I think this is coming out too early, so this is just an Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace is a terrible, terrible move. saw Deadlyy was tapping his charge move and it just was not firing, so I guess he's going to eat another Aerial Ace. Probably didn't really need to do that, and is going to throw a Crunch here. Aqua Tail is slightly more energy efficient, but Crunch does a little bit more damage overall. So since he throws the Crunch there, I imagine he needed to in order to prevent Escavalier from getting to another move, but after you had already thrown it, it was just very low. Opponent switches into a Swampert and promptly resigns the game, so that is a GG. Okay, all right. Escavalier and Swampert in the back. What does he do against a Trevenant lead either? Like that team doesn't seem to line up that well. All right, Gyarados into Trevenant. So not the best matchup for Gyarados. A little bit bait dependent. This Gyarados is, or this Trevenant is throwing this really early, but I guess they did reach the Shadow Ball already. Deadlyy lets that go and still is able to reach a Crunch. I don't think this KOs either, but I'm still not going to find out how much it does because they shield. Going to bring out his own Trevenant, and the opponent sends in a Crustle, which is not something I've been seeing a lot of either. I'm going to respond with Machamp. This is a fantastic matchup for Machamp. Crustle usually knows X Scissor and Rock Slide. This one's carrying Rock Blast, which is unusual also. For what it's worth, Machamp's Rock Slide obviously hits Crustle for super effective and would do a ton of damage, but Deadlyy doesn't really need to leave this with a lot of health. He just needs to leave with a lot of energy, so it makes a lot of sense to just throw the Cross Chop. Build up as much energy as you can. He lands the Rock Slide on this Trevenant, and gonna end up shielding this Seed Bomb. And gonna throw this Cross Chop. So from this health range, Cross Chop will be enough. They decide to shield, and then Deadly's going to switch into his own Trevenant to Shadow Claw down before he's able to get to another move. Opponent sends out Alolan Muck again, and this is a pretty tough matchup for Trevenant, but at least the Shadow Balls do pretty substantial damage. Gonna have to shield this. Could be a Dark Pulse. Turns out to be an Acid Spray. Extra funny from the opponent. Deadly's going to fire off this Shadow Ball. The opponent sneaks in a Poison Jab, which does not help, but he's still able to reach another Seed Bomb, even with that sneak in. That is going to take out Alolan Muck. And yeah, one Shadow Claw will take out the opponent's Trevenant, so they're actually forced to throw their energy. Going to throw this Seed Bomb. Takes out Trevenant, and Machamp is actually going to counter the Trevenant down, since it was low enough to do that. That is a GG. Oh, it's a really close game. All right, next up against Casey Go, who is one of my locals whom no one has ever been able to make contact with. He's sometimes in the gyms in my neighborhood and does raids in my neighborhood, but no one has met him. So if anyone out there knows Casey Go, can you let him know that Ferrikster is looking for him and would like to do some low friendship trades because no one has ever met the guy. But, yeah, so Deadly's going to throw this Crunch into Casey Go's Walrein. I don't know. I'm trying to get as much out of this video as I can. Gonna get hit with an Icicle Spear. Clearly, this is really not a very good matchup for Gyarados. And this is the first Walrein lead that we're seeing on this video. Surprising that we've actually gotten so many games in before seeing one. Gonna bring Machamp out and not gonna shield this Icicle Spear. The opponent switches into Kingdra, and Deadlyy stays in for a bit, builds up a lot of energy, and then switches out into Trevenant. I don't know about this. Like, this is definitely going to be an Octazooka bait because, you know, debuffers love debuffing. They actually do not get the debuff. It's a 50-50 shot. It happens to me 100% of the time, but, you know, most people it only works 50% of the time. Deadlyy does not get debuffed there, which helps a lot. But if he had this, obviously, it would have been a terrible situation. So, I mean, personally, I would have emptied out some of Machamp's energy. But this is working out fine, too. Gonna shield this because we're getting kind of low on health and have two shields. Still doesn't get debuffed. Gonna shield this Icicle Spear because we have to. And gonna switch out into Machamp. Could have countered down. Gonna throw this Cross Chop anyway. Was probably going for it. Not sure he was gonna make it. But since the Walrein had squeezed in an extra Powder Snow after that, definitely would have just been able to get one counter. And hopefully it doesn't matter. There is a Shadow Machamp in the back, so having back-to-back Cross Chop would actually have been amazing right now. Actually would have KO'd the Machamp at that point. Tries to build up a little bit extra energy, tries to throw this Seed Bomb, but ends up losing CMP to the Machamp, which gets the Cross Chop off. It doesn't KO, but it does leave Trevenant kind of low, and the opponent, it's just a visual glitch. The opponent switches out into their Kingdra and manages to take Deadlyy down. But yeah, that's a GG. All right, Gyarados into Walrein again. So staying in with Gyarados didn't really seem to work that well, so this time he's actually just going to try swapping into Trevenant right away. So, as I said earlier in the video, Icicle Spear, it's 5-4-5, and Trevenant is just 5-5-5. So if Trevenant can sneak in a Shadow Claw, which Deadlyy did manage to do, and gets a second Shadow Claw in there, then you're able to actually... Well, now at this point you can outpace, even if Walrein sneaks in one. So Walrein sneaks in one Powder Snow here on this throw. So as long as Deadlyy can deny on this one, which he does, then he'll be able to outpace, in a sense, or at least, win CMP on the next Seed Bomb. So, able to reach the Seed Bomb. Going to spam this out. It does that much to the Walrein, and Walrein is going to Icicle Spear down, but this is actually a pretty okay situation. Like, he doesn't win Switch, since the opponent ended up staying in. But Deadlyy is going to be able to come back in with Gyarados and farm down. Like, a Walrein should have good responses to fighting types in the back. So, like, there could be a Trevenant or something. I don't know why there's an Escavalier behind a Walrein. I mean, that's a decision, and this opponent made it. And I guess it's been working out pretty well for them. They're at Legend rank also. Going to swap out into Machamp and catch this Mega Horn. That is a fantastic catch, not very effective. And there is a Swampert in the back. So this is fantastic. I guess saving Trevenant for the back would also have been pretty amazing in this situation, given that we now know what's back there. But, using it to take out Walrein also fine. Deadlyy is just going to spam out this Aqua Tail. At this point, it will, I think, not quite take Swampert out, but able to Waterfall down. And there's an Escavalier there that is already energy dry. Just Waterfall the whole way down. And he manages to take that game. That is a GG. That explains why the opponent stayed in on that swap. All right, next up against SMAC. So, Gyarados into Snorlax. This is a pretty bad matchup for Gyarados, actually. But Deadlyy actually has no real choice but to stay in. Like, Shadowlax and even regular Snorlax, the Body Slam does so much to Gyarados. That with the licks, and Snorlax just doesn't really take that much damage. So Deadly's going to go straight Crunch here. The opponent lets it go. And they're going to outpace Gyarados pretty substantially. Like, you could shield this and manage to get to another Aqua Tail. But I mean, if the opponent shields this and licks down, they end with nearly a Body Slam. The opponent decides to let it go and come in and farm down with something else. That's also fine. It is a Sylveon. This is probably definitely for the best that they didn't win Switch, because if Sylveon had been aligned with Machamp, it would have been a very deadly situation. So he's going to have to shield the Psyshock. Really can't take any damage. Has to retain Trevenant, because Machamp obviously has next to no play against a Charmer. They no-shield the first Seed Bomb. He's going to get to this next Seed Bomb. And I don't think he gets to another one. Yeah, no. Gets taken out by one of the Charms that was snuck in. But even if that Charm hadn't been snuck in and taken him out, still wouldn't have been enough. And yeah, Machamp's just not able to punch Sylveon down fast enough. So gets hit with a Psyshock. The game lags a little bit more, and yeah, that's a GG. That's rough team comp. Still, 3 out of 5 manages to get a shield on. That is great for trading utility. Again, I don't know his situation, but probably decent chance still needs XL Candy. I don't know. I don't know. All right, Gyarados into Obstagoon. This is a pretty good matchup for Gyarados. Obviously, flying type resisting everything, or resisting the counter, which is what Obstagoon does most of its damage with. Able to sneak in a waterfall, which also helps pull further ahead. That is fantastic. Opponent seems to lag a little bit. It might have been visual because it looks like a lot of counter damage did come in. So the thing that would concern me, right, if I were playing this team in this situation against an Obstagoon lead, is that Obstagoon is so weak to fighting types that you have to expect that they have a good response to Machamp in the back, because otherwise they would just insta-die to a Machamp lead. Like, they need to have at least one thing that's a hard counter to it, and at least, you know, the other thing needs to be neutral at least. Yeah, assuming the team, like, you know, is balanced, makes sense. But yeah, opponent's gonna double shield the Obstagoon to try to win switch advantage. Can't do it anyway because Gyarados is just amazing against Obstagoon. Yeah, there's Charizard in the back and the opponent top lefts, because Charizard can't really survive getting hit with rocks, and the opponent used both of his shields to try to win switch advantage. I guess the Obstagoon into Gyarados matchup is way worse than I thought, because that was absolutely completely shut down. All right. Gyarados into Typhlosion. Obviously, also a really fantastic matchup for Gyarados. The opponent switches into Trevenant, and since Deadlyy doesn't have a really strong response, has to respond with his own Trevenant. So this could definitely be a Shadow Ball, but Deadlyy tries to call the bait, and that is not what happens. So now has to bring his Gyarados back out into this Trevenant, and that is a tough situation. Gonna call this one, and that is a Seed Bomb. Builds a little bit of extra energy, and gonna throw this Crunch. So this Crunch will definitely KO from this range, so I'll never find out exactly how much it does, but it does at least more than that. Opponent waits out the switch clock a little bit. Comes in with a Gallade. Yeah, I don't see Deadlyy surviving this. Gonna throw this Aqua Tail, switch out into Machamp, which transfers a Confusion. Yeah. This Cross Chop won't KO. Nothing. Gallade is very strong. I'll point that out. I run Gallade on my team. That was not gonna. Yeah, that was a GG. All right. Gyarados into Escavalier. Fantastic matchup for Gyarados. Opponent switches into a Swampert, which isn't a response to Gyarados. And leading with Escavalier, which is really not a response to Trevenant, and Swampert in the back. What does this team do against either a Gyarados or a Trevenant lead? So Swampert obviously going to no-shield that. There is a Charizard in the back. Deadly's going to build up some extra energy. Going to bait with Seed Bomb. Since he was able to deny that last Fire Spin, if he does land this, he can throw 2 Shadow Claws and still get to this Shadow Ball. Really, really precise play from Deadlyy. Shadow Ball lands, does a lot of damage, and yeah, the 2 Pokemon that the opponent has remaining are not answers to Gyarados at all, nor were they answers to Trevenant. I don't know. Not sure. All right, next up against Bubble Wrapper. I know that name. Gyarados into Typhlosion. Fantastic lead. The opponent switches into Escavalier, which is really not a response to Gyarados. Still, Deadly's going to switch out into Trevenant because you don't want to save Trevenant for the Typhlosion, so makes a lot of sense. Going to go straight Shadow Ball, take them out. Typhlosion's going to come back out, throws 1, throws 2, and in the middle of the third, Deadlyy could have gotten in an extra Shadow Claw there and still managed to get this Shadow Ball out safely. But I don't know if that would have helped him to get to another move, especially if the opponent was going to throw their energy here. The opponent is at 4, so after this Blast Burn, they are 1 away from their next Blast Burn. So this can't be a Solar Beam yet, it can only be a Blast Burn, but Gyarados doesn't have the highest defense, so it would still hurt quite a bit. Opponent switches out into an Ampharos, and yeah, Deadly's just going to bring out his Machamp into this. The Ampharos has an energy lead, so it is going to be able to outpace Machamp. But since this Machamp is not Shadow, it doesn't really have to worry as much about getting KO'd. Like, you can no-shield this first Thunder Punch, that's fine. They're going to throw this second Thunder Punch as soon as they've got it. Definitely have to shield this. 3 more counters and able to reach this Cross Chop. Like, definitely could have thrown one more before he threw that because Machamp will definitely win CMP, but I guess if he did that, it would have given the opponent an opportunity to sneak in a whole Volt Switch, so that probably wouldn't have ended well. So just trying to be super safe, only do the damage that he needs to. Able to reach Aqua Tail and take out the Typhlosion. That is GG. Very clean victory. All right. Next up against Led Zepp. I know this name. Gyarados into Gengar. So this is like neutral-ish. It kind of slightly favors Gengar. Especially they just have a lot more baiting utility than Gyarados does. Get to these moves kind of quickly. Gonna call this. It is in fact a Shadow Punch. I mean, could have been a Sledge Bomb. Sledge Bomb would have done a ton of damage. Maybe if KO'd. Gonna throw this Aqua Tail. It is enough to take out the Gengar. So Gyarados manages to win this lead. Gonna see what comes out. The opponent is waiting for a little bit before sending out Crobat. And Deadlyy's just gonna throw this Crunch. Not gonna be able to reach a second Aqua Tail, so it makes sense to just throw the slightly harder hitting move. Gonna throw 2 more Waterfalls. This Crobat has taken so much damage, but has quite a bit of energy. Deadlyy's actually gonna send out Machamp in this situation. Gonna no shield this Shadow Ball, which does quite a bit of damage. And Machamp really has a very hard time countering down a Crobat. I'm not sure why he didn't send out... I guess this was kind of a team read. Still, not. Both of Deadlyy's backline Pokemon have really strong matchups against the Escavalier, so I guess in the end it turned out not really to matter too much. Gonna shield the Drill Run. Could have been an Aerial Ace, which I guess would have hurt a decent amount. Gonna actually throw a Seed Bomb, which is double resisted, but they end up shielding it, so that is good because I think they might have survived it. Gonna have to shield this move also. Shields the Mega Horn. That would have hit for neutral and would have done a ton of damage. Not gonna bother undercharging this Seed Bomb. Just gonna take them out and should be able to just Shadow Claw down the rest of the way. Like if this turns out to be a Shadow Ball, it will definitely KO, but Poison Fang only hits for neutral, so it's just not enough. Deadlyy's going to spam out another double resisted Seed Bomb, but this one will KO from this range anyway, and that is a GG. I just take that game. Yeah, the opponent's Escavalier just didn't have anywhere to go there. So that concludes that set. That was another 4 out of 5. Deadlyy gets a Regirock, which is presumably what he wants because it's what I want. Always better to get the Legendary. So yeah, overall, seems like a really solid team. Really good sets. Congratulations, Deadlyy, on hitting Legend. And thank you so much for sending in the games. Thank you all so very much for watching. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos. You know you're supposed to do them, so do the things. Helps me out a lot. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one.